1 on 3, 1 on 3, 1, 2, 3.
Shut up, man. You already know.
All right, man. Have some fun.
Jets on 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Zach Wilson will be the 12th different quarterback for the Jets to start against Tom Brady today at MetLife Stadium. There is his fortress, the Jets offensive line, walking into the building right now. It is the 4-11 Jets versus the 11-4 Buccaneers today. The 22-year age gap between Brady and Wilson is the largest between two starting quarterbacks since at least 1950. As we bring in Eric Coleman, welcome into Pregame Central, presented by Uber Eats. Eric Allen here inside the studio. We have Anthony Becht as well. AB, Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year, man. I'll tell you, it's interesting. Two teams that I obviously play for. Obviously, my allegiance, we all know where that is. But, yeah, I'll tell you, how about this? Tom Brady, 2000 draft class. That was the same draft class as me. It's kind of unbelievable to think that someone in my draft class is still playing in the NFL, but huge challenge for the Jets. Both sides of the football. This is a team that's pegged a lot of people's favorites to go back to the Super Bowl. They are shorthanded today in certain positions, though, and the Jets have to take advantage of those opportunities when they come today.
Zach Wilson and Tom Brady match up for the first and probably only time.
Yeah, Tom Brady, the days are getting shorter for him. And Zach Wilson, the young quarterback, just getting his career started. Them playing in different conferences, you never know when they're going to compete against each other again. But, I'm sure Zach Wilson, this is a game that he's probably had circled on his calendar since he was drafted. An opportunity to play against one of the greats to ever play the position. So it's going to be exciting for Zach. I'm sure it's exciting for Tom to come back to New York and play for a different team. And looking forward to this game.
AB, Brady's just relentless. That's what everybody said this week. Robert Saleh, Zach Wilson, the rest of the fellas when they were asked about the ageless TB12. He seemingly has gotten better with time. I don't know how that is possible, but what stands out to you here from Brady this season at 44, where he leads the National Football League in passing yards and touchdowns?
Well, look, he didn't pick Tampa Bay because of the weather. He took Tampa Bay because they have the best team around him. This may be the best offensive line he's ever had in his career in Tampa Bay. I mean, they have Pro Bowlers across the board. Maybe 4 guys that are legit Pro Bowl players in my eyes, and he doesn't get touched. Think about this. For a quarterback, and you look around the league, guys like Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, even Zach Wilson. A lot of these guys make plays on the move, out of the pocket. They create, things break down, they have to use their legs. Brady's got 2 cement blocks on his feet. He can't go anywhere. He's got to be in the pocket every single time. In that 3x3 space, he has to dial it up. Pre-snap, he has to have a plan if there's something post-snap, and he has to get it out of his hands as quick as any quarterback really in the league, and his numbers are still there. It's really remarkable. Yeah, age and all that stuff, his body. I mean, look, he can't take shots. He can't take the tackles, but he doesn't get hit. He's very, very rarely gets hit in a game. He'll go through games with this offensive line and not be touched, but his numbers definitely have not slowed down like you talked about, and, he's dangerous. And the thing about him is you got to get him off his point. Not a lot of teams can do it because their offensive line is that good, but you've seen some things on film where teams do that. They have a chance to disrupt him.
Let's go to the other side of the ledger. Zach Wilson got it going on the ground last week, setting a career high and a franchise high in terms of rush yards, and he also had the longest run by a quarterback in franchise history, that 52-yard scamper. Quietly, Wilson, 103 consecutive passes without an interception. That's what I'm most impressed with.
Yeah, Zach is doing a great job with his decision-making. I mean, you see that he's taking care of the football, hasn't thrown an interception in quite some time, and the fact that he's running the football means he's making the right decisions. He's playing against a lot of man-to-man coverage, and you have to make teams pay. You have to make teams pay for blitzing against you, for going in man coverage. And the best way to do it for Zach at this young age is with his feet. He's athletic, he's agile, he's able to make teams pay, to get chunks, to move chains for the team. And he's making great decisions. He's slowing down the game. And hopefully he can continue his progress today here playing against the Buccaneers.
Every week here on Pregame Central, presented by Uber Eats, we ask the fans to make their voice heard. It's the Jets and the Buccaneers at MetLife Stadium today. Zach Wilson, since coming back from injury, 7 touchdowns, 3 turnovers. Today, Zach Wilson will be interception-free for a 4th consecutive game. We need your vote right now. We will look at the tally after the game. Anthony, what do you think about the progress you've seen from the aforementioned number 2? There he is, Zach Wilson, getting warmed up since he's come back from injury.
Yeah, it's all the little things when you're talking about playing quarterback in the NFL, the layups. We talked about these things every week. Coming off a nice performance and a win versus the Jags is great. And it's going to take more reps and more reps. The more reps he gets, the more things he sees, the better he can raise his game and learn from it and go back on the film and critique yourself on certain situations. I promise you this will be a film that he'll be able to go back and watch quite a bit because, Tampa Bay is going to bring quite a few different looks and blitz packages at him. Todd Bowles is going to be a factor in this game as a coordinator, and that's what the learning experience is about for him. But when he's smart and he uses his legs like we saw him when it needs to be used, and he stays in the pocket and delivers when he's supposed to deliver, having that fine line and understanding those times in a game, it's really hard for a quarterback because they have those kind of abilities when you're diverse like that. But when he has the ability to understand when and when not to for each of those, that's when he can become the quarterback I think everybody wants for long term for this organization.
Uber Eats, the official on-demand food delivery partner of the NFL, is delivering game day deals all season. Order now with your Uber Eats app. It's Jets Buccaneers here at MetLife Stadium today. Wilson said this week it's definitely not him versus Brady. That's the attitude he has to have, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think this is definitely going to take a team effort to tackle Brady. Tom Brady is, one of the most efficient quarterbacks to play the game. And this isn't all on Zach Wilson's shoulders. I mean, you saw what they did last week, running the football. They stayed dedicated to the run. Hopefully they'll get some of these offensive linemen back in the fold and continue with that progress. But the defense has to play well. The special teams, Braxton Berrios with the big return last week. The defense played well. I think all facets of the game had a great impact on that game last week, and that's why the Jets are able to win. It's not all on Zach Wilson's shoulders.
Yeah, different beast today. Last week it was Jacksonville. Nice win for the Jets, of course. This week it is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the defending Super Bowl champions, who've already clinched the NFC South. And right now, frankly, the only thing they're playing for is seeding, and they just want to remain healthy because that is a veteran-laden roster. Let's keep this thing moving and get to the latest from the broadcast booth. Caroline Hendershot is standing by with Jets radio analyst Marty Lyons inside the WinBet green room.
Thanks, EA. I'm here with Marty Lyons. And Marty, the Jets stepped up big time last week when we had a lot of guys out on the COVID list and with injury, but they got the win over the Jaguars. What did you see out of them last Sunday that they need to continue to do this Sunday?
Well, the number one thing that I saw is that they played complementary football. You take Braxton Berrios, 102-yard kickoff return, and then you look at Zach Wilson, what he did, the leadership and the calmness that he had as a quarterback. He had a 52-yard run for a touchdown. But I like what he did in the huddle. He held it all together. He didn't make those rookie mistakes like Trevor Lawrence did. Sometimes the defense is just going to dial up the right number. Sometimes you're going to be sacked. Trevor Lawrence reverted back. He tried to think he was Houdini. He ran backwards, 18-yard sack by C.J. Mosley, and it was a strip sack. So I think that Zach is starting to show that he understands the game. The game slowed down a little bit for him. Today it's going to speed up because you got Tampa Bay, and they're the number 2 blitzing team in the NFL. And Todd Bowles, he's going to dial it up today.
Oh, big time. And so also last week we had a lot of guys out that were key players for the defense. We're facing, as you said, the reigning Super Bowl champs and the greatest quarterback of all time, Tom Brady. What does our defense need to do in order to control Tom Brady today?
Well, I think number one, you got to understand that Tom Brady has to get moved off his spot. He's a pocket quarterback. He's going to drop back after he takes a snap out of the shotgun, maybe 2 yards, and he's going to be right in between the guards. He's not going to roll out. So you don't have to worry so much about containment, but you got to get the push in the middle of that offensive line. And remember this, 3 out of the starting 5 for Tampa Bay, they're Pro Bowl players. It's going to be a good challenge for the front 7 of the Jets today.
It's going to be a big one. We're going to toss it back to you before Marty can tease me about any Michigan losses this past weekend.
Michigan didn't even show up.
Thanks, EA.
Thanks, Caroline and Marty. Zach Wilson getting warmed up. You are watching Pregame Central, presented by Uber Eats. Anthony, as we watch Zach Wilson here, it's very unseasonably warm day for January. You can't ask for much better conditions. And I think that's actually unfortunate with Brady and Tom.
Yeah, something about playing in the 30s. Tampa Bay's history has not been really good. But, yeah, look, it is. I mean, it's just a great football day. This is exciting. Sometimes, when you play the best teams, guys want to show out. They want to play their best. When you're a rookie quarterback, for instance, like Zach Wilson, I mean, you can only do so much. You don't want to try to exceed expectations because, this is a league that will ground you really quick, especially against the best competition. I think the best thing for Zach today is be efficient, take what they give you, have a plan for pressure. Because if you have a plan for pressure and you have an answer, and that answer may just simply throw it away, it could be dump it down, it may be take a sack. Just depends on what the routes are in that given situation. But just be a smart player. If you can get away from this game and not turn the ball over, I think, honestly, you can get yourself in a game where 4 quarters, you have an opportunity to at least present a challenge in a four-quarter situation. So it really does dictate a lot as far as a quarterback. And things happen outside of that. Zach could be clean the whole day. A ball gets tipped, this and that. So all those kind of things happen in a football game. But for Zach, I just think he's got enough football now throughout the season that for him, just going out there and trusting what he's being coached, Mike LaFleur is going to have a game plan that coordinates to what they expect to see, and he has to really go out there and just execute. They all do execute this offensively.
All right, let's go out to MetLife Stadium right now and bring in Ethan Greenberg. I would say good afternoon, but I guess it's still good morning. How are you today, sir?
I'm good. You guys were talking about the weather. I mean, the weather here is fantastic. You would have no idea that it's January in 2022 if you were blindfolded and just placed here today. It's good weather, good football weather.
Okay, so Ethan, Jets are in a lot better space than they were at this point last week, right, with the COVID and the health issues.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, Marty and Caroline kind of talked about it earlier, but let's start on the offense. How about some guys who are coming back in the fold that the Jets did not have last weekend? The 2 guys up front, Elijah Vera-Tucker at left guard, Laurent Duvernay-Tardif at right guard. But there is a center change, not because of COVID, but because of injury. Last week, Connor McGovern exited the game with a knee injury. He was placed on injured reserve. Dan Feeney set to take over at the pivot, and Feeney took every single snap for the LA Chargers last season with a rookie quarterback in Justin Herbert. And then in terms of COVID on defense, how about the defensive line? That's really where the biggest change is. The Jets have Lorenzo Fatukasi back in the lineup, John Franklin Myers as well. They get Michael Carter II in the secondary, as well as Ashton Davis at safety. And the Jets also set to get back Elijah Riley at safety because of injury. But on the other side of the coin here, it was, I don't want to say breaking news, but just a couple minutes ago, the Jets placed Kyle Phillips on the reserve COVID list. So that's another defensive lineman out of the lineup, along with Quinnen Williams.
Yeah, good stuff as always. Yeah, you just mentioned Quinnen Williams. Unfortunately, he's still on that COVID list. Bryce Hall came off that list, so he will be active today, you would imagine. The other guy the Jets had an outside hope for was tight end Tyler Croft, but he is still on that list. Let's talk about the receiver position. Last week, the Jets lined up without their 3 top targets. It looks like the same this week, right?
It looks like it. Jamison Crowder didn't practice all week. Again, listed as doubtful. I did see him working out behind me probably about a half an hour before the show started, maybe a little bit longer than that. So we'll see what happens when the inactives come out at 11:30. But if that's not the case, the Jets do have DJ Montgomery. He was an elevation. So right now you're looking at a lineup that has Braxton Berrios, Keelan Cole, Denzel Mims, DJ Montgomery, among others. And then also another guy, if you're talking about playmakers, just in general, Tevin Coleman out of the lineup. He was placed on the reserve COVID list earlier this week. So no Tyler Kroft, no Tevin Coleman, 2 changes from last week's game against the Jaguars.
Good stuff, Greens. We'll check in with you here in a couple moments as we watch the guys on the field right now. Anthony, man, we still live in unprecedented times. I got to imagine throughout the National Football League, this is so challenging for these coaching staffs because you have no idea who's going to be active each week. And you even could put in a game plan in on Monday, Tuesday, and somebody's going to pop on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, or even a couple minutes before kickoff.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, with basically the entire league vaccinated, it comes down to probably a lot of asymptomatic cases where guys are just like, what's going on? How does this even, how do I even test positive for COVID? Have no issues, but yet, aren't out there on the field. So, yeah, look, these guys have adjusted to where they were testing every single day for a full year. But you're right, game planning is tough. I mean, teams aren't made to have a 2-deep that can win football games consistently in the league. You just can't find those kind of players week in and week out. There are a few handful of teams that actually, have some depth at certain positions. Quite frankly, look at the Buccaneers. I mean, here's a team that signed back and had every single player back from last year's team and then added depth at a lot of positions. They've been decimated at receiver this year, but they've still been able to have guys like Antonio Brown be available. They have Rashard Perryman, who was there earlier, came here, and now is back with the Buccaneers. And they have Scotty Miller. A lot of different players. They have 3 tight ends that can start for any team in the NFL. It really, you have to do your homework in these days if you're an organization that, as far as the personnel guys, to find players that can come in. Look at Feeney. Perfect example, right? Not only can he come in and he's the backup, but he can play guard, he can play center. Those are key.
This is not just impacting the Jets as far as COVID and injuries, of course, because you look at the Buccaneers, you just mentioned it. No Jason Pierre-Paul today, no Shaq Barrett, no Levante David. On the other side of the ball, Leonard Fournette, they're hopeful he's going to be back in the playoffs. Chris Godwin's out for the season. Mike Evans is questionable today. Even Antonio Brown, who was targeted 15, 16 times last week, had 100-plus yards receiving, he was questionable on the injury report.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't know how they're going to play it. Obviously I live down in Tampa, get to see and cover this team quite a bit as well. There's Ty Johnson, little throwback there with the Leon jersey.
And Leon Washington, a
jersey.
current Jets assistant coach.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Nice throwback there. But yeah, you kind of look at the players that they have. It's a big deal. I mean, heck, Bruce Arians almost didn't be able to coach. He came back and tested negative, so he was able to come out and coach his football game. But they have been banged up. They have been decimated with COVID. And I think when you look at this football team, they do have some players, though, at all levels that can still hurt you. And if Mike Evans, I would predict Mike Evans doesn't play. This team is going into a playoff run here, and they need him. And, with 2 games remaining, where, like you said, it really is, they're already in, it's just seeding. I would say that, he doesn't. But you never know how things will go. If he feels good, he goes. But, everybody's got injuries. Everybody's fallen on the report. You got to fight through it. But, 2 different teams and 2 different circumstances on how they're kind of moving forward here in the month of January.
Let's get to our matchups to watch. And, Anthony, you know these teams better than anybody. Let's start with you.
Well, I had to go with the coaches here, 2 coordinators. Mike LaFleur versus Todd Bowles. Listen, everybody knows Todd Bowles, and he's a very, very accomplished. I think he's the best defensive coordinator in football. Mike LaFleur has done an excellent job kind of getting this offense throughout the season, scoring a ton of points, being exciting, trick plays. The thing that's going to be key in this football game is how Mike LaFleur has a plan and answer for 3rd down situations in the game. Todd Bowles, to me, versus a rookie quarterback, I would look, they're going to play some 8 in coverage sometimes, but they are going to try to attack in certain circumstances and not give Zach Wilson a lot of time in this football game. The secondary's getting healthier for the Buccaneers. They're back. Devin White is one of their leading pass rushers as well at the linebacker position. Jordan Whitehead, another guy who's a safety. He may be one of the bright young safeties in the NFL. The way he's playing, you'll find him. He'll be all over the football field. as a tackler, as a cover man, as a blitzer for his
Whitehead
team.
was their best player last week, wasn't he?
He was. Well, anytime he's on the field, he's shown up every single week in a big time way. And then in the front line, Vita Vea and Sue and Anthony Nelson, who fills in at end. Those two guys in the middle, Sue and Vita Vea, will be the best two players they play inside this season. It'll be a great matchup to watch. That could have been another matchup with AVT and Sue and Vita Vea. That's something I'll have my eyes on. But these two coordinators, this will be a battle because you don't want to put yourself in bad situations calling plays. The trick plays are great. Those have been really successful, but you have to pick and choose your poison when you're going against a Todd Bowles coach defense.
All right, let's move on here. I'm going to go to Elijah Riley returning to the lineup, matching up potentially with Rob Gronkowski. So far this season, Gronkowski 6'6", 256 pounds, of course, 41 catches, 550 yards. He's got 6 touchdowns this season. That's 92 career touchdowns for Gronk. He's a guy throughout his career who's averaged nearly 15 yards a reception. Since joining the Jets from the Eagles practice squad in early November, Riley has played well for the Green and White. He's back in the lineup today, like Ethan mentioned before. He had 10 tackles a few weeks ago in that loss to the Saints. He had 6 against the Dolphins before suffering the concussion. But if Antonio Brown is indeed in the lineup, you would figure Gronk's 2 favorites today are AB and Gronk, Tom Brady's 2 favorite targets. So Elijah Riley, I would imagine he's going to be on Gronk a little bit. The Jets do have some options at safety. Jason Pinnock, a converted cornerback, got his first NFL start last week. Will Parks stepped in. Numbers better at safety, as Ethan articulated before. We got a bonus matchup to watch. You mentioned it before, Anthony. Let's bring in Dan Feeney versus Vita Vea. That's one of our matchups to watch. Last week, Feeney started at left guard. He's going to start at center for the first time with the Jets. The Jets, of course, rushed for 273 yards last week against the Jags. Anthony, are the Buccaneers the best defensive interior in the National Football League with Vea and Sue?
Yeah, Vita Vea is, to me, outside of Aaron Donald, he's the next guy. I mean, he can do it in the run game. He's going to push back hard. Very rarely is anyone going to beat him one-on-one. And in pass protection, he's a very, very good pass rusher. He's very athletic for 340-plus pounds. He is a game wrecker. And when you can get game wreckers in the middle of the field, think about Vincent Wilfork over the years with the Patriots, how he did so much damage inside. Well, this guy's, I want to say twice his size, but he's a much bigger player. He is a challenge. Expect 2 guys blocking him up in this game.
After the game, we'll be back here for Jets Overtime presented by Nissan SNY. We'll have you covered all day with their pre- and post-game shows as well. But coming up next on CBS 2 here in New York at 11:30, it's Jets Game Day with Robert Saleh. Here's a sneak peek. What a wild week you had. How would you describe it?
Interesting, but thankfully, it's going to come to an end here soon, and we can get back to normal.
What was your thought process when you tested positive for COVID, personally and then professionally?
Personally, obviously, I just wanted to get myself into a place where I'm not, where I can't affect anybody, and then professionally, obviously, just trying to do my best to get the staff in order, keep the team in order, and just to keep the wheels moving the best we could. And obviously, with Ron's assistance, I feel like it's going pretty well.
You are watching Pregame Central presented by Uber Eats. We just saw Robert Saleh. You can check that out. Jets Game Day appears on CBS at 11:30 every Sunday during the season. Saleh, of course, was sequestered in his hotel room. He is back on the sideline after Ron Middleton led the Jets to victory last week. As we get into All In or Not today, let's look at our latest leaderboard with just 2 weeks remaining. Eric Coleman has a 1-game lead. Anthony backed a couple games off the pace. Ethan still remains ways back, I would say. Anthony, No, actually, Eric, I'll start with you. First off, thanks for rejoining us this week. You did an awesome job on ESPN New York radio, their pregame coverage last week. But you're back in familiar territory. We're going to start with you right now. Tom Brady will throw for at least 3 touchdowns and join Drew Brees as the only players to throw for 40 touchdowns in consecutive seasons. All in or not today?
Yeah, I'm going all in on this one. I just think that what you just laid out means something to Tom Brady, and he might have all the records already. Why not add a couple more? And you know that I think something a little extra special Brady has in store, considering the division he used to play in. He used to play the Jets twice a year. I just think that I feel like this is an all-in for me, and I think Anthony, who's seen the Bucs more than we have all season, would also agree on that one.
No, you're right. Yep. I would get in your corner on that one. They're going to be throwing the ball in the red zone, that's for sure.
All right, Anthony, the Jets are tied for 28th in the NFL with 13 takeaways. The Bucs are tied for 8th in the NFL with 18 giveaways. Brady has 11 interceptions this season. The Jets will force a turnover Sunday. What do you say, all in or not today?
You know what? I'm not today. That's where I'm leaning. I think for this offense for the Bucs, they protect the football very well. Very rarely does Brady throw interceptions. Just in particular, when you have a young secondary, he's not going to be fooled too much. Although some things can happen with tip balls, which hopefully happened in the Jets' favor today. But it's going to be a tough one to ask to get us. I'm going to say not today.
All right, let's go back to the fans and see how they're voting. Zach Wilson, of course, 7 touchdowns and 3 interceptions since he's come back from a PCL sprain. The question for the fans today on Pregame Central presented by Uber Eats, Zach Wilson will not throw an interception for a 4th consecutive game. Close vote, close tally. 55% say no. We talked about how many Buccaneers out of the lineup, but the Jets dealing with a lot of changes on the offensive side of the ball as well. We'll have to monitor that. For the Jets to spring the upset, Wilson's going to have to play an awfully good game. For me, my all-in or not today, the Jets and the Buccaneers will combine for over 46 points. I'm going not today, actually. The Buccaneers score nearly 30 points a game. I just feel the Jets are going to ride some momentum early defensively, and they might have a hard time scoring themselves conversely. So I'm taking the under here of the total of 46 points. As we wait for the inactives, Anthony, final thoughts. Something struck me today when I was thinking about the show and thinking about this game. Your closing thoughts on Jets overtime last week after the emotional win for the green and white. You said, I wouldn't want it any other way for the Jets to finish up this year, facing the defending Super Bowl champion and then the Buffalo Bills in Week 18 in Buffalo with potentially a chance to win the division title. You think they're going to get better from this experience?
No question. I mean, you want to play versus teams that have something to play for. Because for you as an offense and a defense and special teams, and for really this coaching staff, a lot of young coaches on this staff, first-time head coach, you want to go against the best. You want to have some really good film to really educate yourself on things you're doing from a game management situation, from a play calling situation, and also from evaluation of your players. A lot of these players are trying to fight for being on this roster because remember, 10 draft picks plus, I believe, coming in the next year. Going to have some free agent money. Free agents will be back, injured players back. A lot of tough decisions have to be made, and you want to find out where a lot of these players sit versus good teams. That'll help out these last 2 weeks.
AB, big picture. Robert Saleh said this week, barring a miracle, Mekhi Becton won't be back this season. That's not a shock. You're hoping Elijah Moore can get back on the field next week because from a fan's perspective and also, more importantly, from the organization's perspective, you really want to see these 3 rookies going at a high level. And when I say the 3 rookies, I'm talking about the playmakers, Zach Wilson, Elijah Moore, the receiver, and Michael Carter. And you can, if you want to add Elijah Vera Tucker, who's been so impressive, into the mix as well. You really want to see these guys out there together humming.
Yeah, no doubt, especially for the fact that you have a quarterback that wants his weapons there. I mean, and those are important pieces to be out there for your quarterback. Elijah Moore has proven he belongs at a high level with some of the best. He's one of the best receivers in the division already. So It's been fun to see, and you're right. If we can get him back and watch him on the field versus Buffalo, that'd be great. If not, then hey, you got a couple kids out there that right now, playing pretty good football, and hopefully they can finish strong.
Yeah, and the Jets have had a hell of a 2021 draft. If they can follow that up with another great 2022 draft, they will be in business. A lot of time before now and then, but you're setting the foundation here this year with the green and white. This is a very good draft class. I mean, the future is looking bright for the Jets, for Joe Douglas and company. Ethan Greenberg, as we bring you back, who are today's game day inactives? I can't imagine the list is long.
It's not very long. Jamison Crowder, we talked about him earlier. He is a part of the game day inactives. He will not go against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The other players who are down, LaMichael Pirine, Mike White, Shaq Lawson, Isaiah Dunn, and Javin White. And those are the game day inactives against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here in Week 17, EA.
We'll see you later for postgame. The Buccaneers have never won at the Jets. Is this the Jets' final tango with Tom Brady? Superman today will wear pewter. We'll see how it plays out. We'll see you right back here for Jets Overtime after the game. And Happy New Year, everybody.